right? So like there were like five main types of proactive means of measuring performance. And we had mentioned it's right in your book there. You have, but I made the effort to give you all five up front. You had inspections, surveys, tours, sampling, and audits was one, right? So this slide actually focuses on auditing a bit. So I just kind of want to get to that. And then we had done reactive, right? So the reactive would have been anything that's negative in the company, like a high number of accidents, high number of days away from work, right? You'll find that more or less I'm seeing page 9 of chapter 4. Well, page 10, 2 of chapter 4. I remember talking about the formulas last week as well, right? They have the formula there for accident frequency rate, but on that page 10, then you have like what would have been the reactive indicators, right? So reactive would be anything that's negative. So what you had to say though, the trick with that on page 10 of chapter 4, what you have to say is a high number of, right? I think the author of the book left that out. You're supposed to say a high number of accidents, a high number of dangerous occurrences. Otherwise, just saying accidents then doesn't say if it's good or bad. I mean, you could actually say a low number of accidents, and that would actually make it something positive, right? So you have to say a high number of near misses, a high number of cases of ill health, high number of complaints from the workforce, right? So that would have been the reactive. So this lesson was just to finish off auditing, right? So auditing, just to put that in perspective, auditing was one of the proactive ones. And I think we did touch on auditing a bit already, right? So if you don't mind, I want to take it from here, right? I think this is obvious, the role of senior management. I don't even want me to read it for you, but this is like when they review those statistics there you see on page 10, right? So I would probably want to take it off from, yes, we know the line managers and the senior managers are, you know, what we call culture drivers there, right? So if we could take it from auditing here. So we take this, so in this sense though, I mean, if you're looking for this I tell you is in chapter 4, but it's to the end of chapter 4, right? So if you could just, if you want to line up the pages, fine, but this piece on auditing is just around page 29 of chapter 4. But it's pretty short, right? So I tell you, chapter 4 was short. There is something big that we should be going to, and I want to try to finish this and go to that now anyway. So let's try to finish up this, right? So page 29 of chapter 4 tells you about auditing. So the purpose of an audit, to objectively reveal and understand the strengths and weaknesses of an organization's management system, to help an organization improve the way it manages health and safety. It's good public relation for your stakeholders. It helps to benchmark the company against other companies, right? So they have here, again, if you miss an audit from about 2 weeks ago, I guess, an audit was meant as a way to improve the company's performance by the companies checking, by they checking their own management system to get the strengths and weaknesses. Where weaknesses exist, they had to remedy it, you know, in a given time frame, especially before, like if they had an external audit anyway, right? So if you want to get explained this here for you, this says audit methodology. And I mean, it's just 2 pages in your book, isn't it, right? So audit methodology, I think this could probably be more, trying to see where would this exactly line up from? Probably around page 31, right? Page 30 have the distinction between audit and inspections. I think we already did that. When I was doing inspections, I made an effort to do that. I remember telling you all inspections are specific, audits are holistic. Inspections can be done by anybody, but a competent person needs to do an audit. Inspections are cheap, they could be done on a checklist if you remember those classes, but audits are more holistic and more comprehensive, so they wouldn't really be done on a checklist, right? Page 30 have the distinctions between an audit and an inspection. But this piece here, the methodology, I think this could fit within page 31, right? So what the methodology is, I'm gonna explain a bit, is that I guess you could try to put yourself in that shoes then, right? In that position. This is like if you had to go and do an audit. By the way, audit is very simple, right? An audit is like you're asking questions then, like where is your safety policy? And you're expecting to get back an answer. So that's like what an audit is. An audit is like a test for the company, right? So this is the method to carry about doing the audit. So what they're saying from my side here, well, first of all, you need to get management approval, right? So you need to get managers' blessing then or approval to have an audit, right? Because you may be questioning workers, and you need, I guess, their I guess you need managers, okay with that, right? That you can go into another department and ask questions and stuff. Because, I mean, if you don't have managers' permission or the management commitment, the workers may not want to answer your question. But if they know it's part of the company learning about their weaknesses and their strength, right? This is how we used to do it anyway. The managers will let the companies know that, like 2 weeks from now, we're going to do a rounds of audit. So please, if the auditors, if Shadrach, and if there's an internal company came and asked you a question, give him your time. And that's how it used to be anyway, right? So you need to meet with relevant managers and employees to discuss and agree. But if you could probably take one on top of this one, if you have this printed up, please know that you need to get management commitment before you do anything, because the workers wouldn't want to talk to you. Plus, you'll be interrupting their workday to ask them questions. So they need to know this is for the greater good then. The company, the CEO needed to make that known, that this internal audit is for the greater good anyway, right? But that's what we mean by methodology or preparation, right? So if you look at your book, you see it lining up now. Other than that, so once you get the managers, okay, you plan the date and the time that you're going to do your questions and answers. Well, whoever you're going to question, right? So you're supposed to call them up, tell them if you all are free 1:30, on Tuesday, we want to come by and ask a couple of questions on safety, right? So date and time, you could agree what will be audited. So maybe if this is a contractor, I'm saying you could audit things like it could tell them, make sure you have, risk assessments for the last month. I want to have a look at it, see how you're all filling it out. Or you want to look at inspection records for the last month again, or 2 months or 3 months. So what will be audited, and how would the auditors, the auditees be in, how will auditees, right? How auditees will be involved, right? So via maybe questioning, I guess in today's day and age via Zoom, the Energy Chamber is still doing audit, and they're doing a lot of it via Zoom anyway. Right? You also, I know they have how they, but also who is also important. So you could scratch another one, put another point there. Who will be audited? If, for example, I was doing an audit of a department, I don't want to talk to all the department members. I want to talk to just one person. So sometimes the department head would just look around and see who, is probably the least busy on Tuesday at 1:30. And they will say, okay, Shadrach, when you come, you will talk to, I don't know, to Carla or something, right? Because Carla has the most, she's the junior, and she has, she's not that busy around 1:30 anyway. So how auditors will be involved and who will be audited is also important. Please, if you look at your book, you'll see that this is under preparation, or you need to do these things before. It will be nice just to come and do a spot check, but the problem with a spot check is that a spot check is not an audit. A spot check is more like, I guess, a tour or something. But auditing is holistic then, it's more detailed. So you cannot, if you want to take a tour, fine, take a tour, but a tour is not an audit. If you're doing an audit, you have to plan the day, the time, what will be audited, how the auditors will be involved, and who will be involved in the audit, because you don't want to reach there then, and then you didn't tell them that Carla needed to be here, or you didn't tell them that, you really wanted to look at records for the last 3 months, right? So you have to give them time to prepare, and that's just the nature of an audit anyway. Some people see it as as a way of the company faking records. And, you know, I mean, because they know you were coming next week, Tuesday, fine, that's just a part of it, right? The fact is the records, even if it was fabricated, the fact is it was done for the last 3 months anyway. So that's just the downside to an audit, to planning it then, right? There is no alternative, right? If you wanted to do like a spot check, then that's not called an audit. That is your tour or whatever have you. But for an auditing purposes, it needs to be planned, right? So plan what procedures, processes, and documents will be observed. Plan what evidence you'd want to see to help judge compliance, and you need to tell them that, right? Well, you need to know that sometimes before too, right? So like if you were looking at inspection records, but you had a mind that they were not doing inspection records at the forklift, but then in your mind, you know, you want to ask them for specifically inspection records for the forklift, right? So even though it may be a bit fabricated, I don't know if you all have that experience anyway, but that's just the nature of it. When people know auditors come in, they do prepare. That's just how it is. The point is though that the documents are being done anyway, right? So you need a methodology to collect the data. Now, most of the times they use a questionnaire, and I'm saying the wrong thing, but it's like a score sheet with questions and answers, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to go down there with a copybook, right? So you need, it is, if you're doing something called an audit schedule, I don't know if anybody, I know Marsha may have known, but there's something called an audit schedule, which is an audit schedule and an audit question, meaning like if you know you were going to do an audit next week, Tuesday, you would already plan your questions already, right? I mean, if not this weekend, you plan it anyway. And then you have to plan like how you're going to record it then, right? So to analyze data, to represent data so that the information and knowledge can be gained, you know, from the data, right? So you need to also check the type of audit you're going to do, like whether if it's qualitative or quantitative. Now, what that means is that this point here is meant to talk about your score, right? So like if they have what you are asking for, you have to give them a mark, right? Or would you just say high or good, bad, fair, right? But most audits are quantitative. The point about an audit I mentioned to you is like a test. So you have to pass the test, right? So you have to agree on, if you could write in the word here, score for me. You have to agree on the score for each question then, just like NEBOSH. Some questions are worth 10 marks or 20 marks. So just like an audit, some questions are going to be worth 10 marks, some questions 5 marks, some questions 20 marks. And also, if I pull my marker, it will freeze my screen, so I don't want to pull the marker, just prefer say it. If you are using a quantitative system being marks, what you should have pre-prepared for them is actually to tell the company what would have been their passing score, right? What would have been the passing score? Meaning like, okay, like how much they have to get them to pass. Is it 50%? Is it 70%? Or is it 100%, right? So you could write it down. You need to get the score for the question. That's two things there, as well as the passing mark then on the audit, right? The passing mark on the audit. So I could give you two simple ones. I mean, these subject questions are not, I mean, I don't think they cover these subject questions in this course. Auditing is huge at the diploma level though, right? I guess I'm seeing some on page 32, but I'm just seeing the topics then and not giving any question itself, you know? So if I could interject here, let me just give you two examples and I'll try to tie in some from the book, right? So like this is two real examples from the STOW audit anyway. You know, like one of the first questions they ask is like, does the company have an HSE policy document? All right, so if that's one of the questions you had to ask, what I'm saying is that with an audit, or if you are an auditor, you had to get a question then, right? So does the company have a HSE policy? And if they had, you had to give them a score, right? I think this is like 20 out of 20. for store, right? Of course, you can pick your own scores, whatever have you. You can make it a small number, maybe 5 out of 5 or something. But the point is, when you plan your question, all of this is preparation, right? All of this is part of the methodology, right? And then in addition to that, you have to plan what is the pass mark. Another question I know they ask us to is about competence. Remember, STO is our local management system here, but I suppose the same could be asked for ISO as well. ISO, if you remember the chart from lesson 2, the policy is a part of the chart. ISO 45001, right? This one though may be more local to Trinidad. They may ask like, what is the qualification of the safety? And you know, they normally look for the NEBOSH qualification, right? So if you have anything else less, this is from experience anyway, right? 10 years ago, OSHA qualification used to be famous in Trinidad. They're not very famous anymore as OSHA stopped it, right? The American OSHA, in fact, they stopped running the American OSHA in Trinidad. If you wonder how come you hear nothing about it, right? It's because it stopped, right? It stopped probably more than 10 years ago too, but it kind of took effect 10 years ago, right? So I'm not sure if you all know that long ago, if you pick up the papers, every paper you'll see, you know, train the trainer, 30 hour, train the trainer, 30 hour, all of that stuff, right? The American people stopped it. They stopped those courses on being in Trinidad anyway, right? So anyway, so I'm saying if somebody have the NEBOSH, if it's like, what is your qualification? They'll probably give you a 20 or a 20. Of course, I'm not too sure what level NEBOSH you're looking for, right? But if you're a safety advisor, fine, 20 or a 20 is good enough. I have an audit report. In fact, I don't like to share my company things with you all, but I would just call it, I wouldn't call the company name then, right? I was doing one on Wednesday here. The person, the company have, they sort of put her in that role now, right? I think she was administrator before, and they just kind of put her in the safety role, but she's not trained. So she getting trained, right? We put her on a course and stuff, another course, at least because the audit is coming up soon. But on a previous audit that I had the report in my hand, it said that she was not competent, right? I don't know what she had, or maybe she didn't have nothing at all. But I think I saw they give her like 8 out of 20, right? So this is what I'm saying. If you were doing an audit, you have to do the same thing. You had to come up with the question and you had to come up with the score, right? So if you know you have like just general awareness, fine, it mightn't give you a 0, 8 out of 20. People long time who had the OSHA 30 hours to get the same 8 out of 20. All right, I didn't know if you all know that, right? 8 out of 20 still if you had the OSHA 30 hour, right? But again, this is an idea that what you have to do is plan your question, plan your mark, etc. Plan the time you're going to meet. I don't know if you all could have anyway, you have some more coming up, right? So right there in your book, page 32, you have to plan like the meeting, right? You have to plan like the what is called a closeout meeting. So I didn't know if I couldn't I have to clean my slide if I have to go back 10. Normally they may ask you 10 preparation things. That's a trying to figure the book give you 10. I see in date and time in your book, scope of the audit. The scope is what you're going to cover, right? The area and extent of the audit, who will be required, information gathering. So that's about 5. So I should probably make sure that you all know your 10. So I don't know if I wanted to shout, let me just shout out these for you now, to make it 10, because that's not 10, but remember NEBOSH question now going for 10 marks. So audit preparation, right? So I guess I have to clean my slide, right? But you can probably take that down. I mean, if you didn't take it down, which would have been the score. You plan the score for each. So I think that could be 3 things in it. You plan the questions to be asked. You also have to plan the evidence that you want to see. I know we saw that on a slide before. So you plan the question you're going to ask. Let me tell you what that means, in case I'm not assuming that you know anything, assuming that you don't know anything. So I'm teaching it from that perspective, right? So you want to plan the questions to be asked. So that's 6. You want to plan the evidence to judge compliance. And if you want an example, I'll give an example right here using these two examples here. So for example, if you ask them, do you have a HSE policy? The thing is, would you take their word for it? If you ask them, do you have a HSE policy? And they say yes. I mean, like, are you going to give them 20 out of 20 for that? No, the thing is you want to see the policy, right? So like in this question here, what you're supposed to do is put evidence required. And the evidence required is that you have to see the HSE policy, right? So you plan the questions to be asked, the evidence required to judge compliance, right? Let me just give you one more. It's right here. I mean, I'm using the example here. So another evidence to judge compliance here is certificate, right? So you ask somebody, do you have NIBOSH? They say yes. I mean, again, are you going to take their word for it, or you want to see the certificate? Right? I don't know if I mentioned this to you because I teach, like I said, about 9 classes for the week, right? Close to 9, about 8. Right? I was sharing a story. I don't know if it's you, if it was you, just bear with me a bit, right? If anybody didn't hear it, that a student, not a student, but a past student of mine went to a company this week. Not this week, but that was last week now, right? Last week. To apply for a job, and she said she had NIBOSH, right? The thing though, the manager in the company was also a past student of mine. He is actually a lecturer too with me, right? So he called the office and he asked if this person had completed the course, because she had on the resume NIBOSH diploma, not just a certificate, the diploma. And of course, the answer for that was no, right? That she never finished the course, right? So that's what I'm saying. So like in a case of that, fine. I mean, if it is an audit, then you give them, I guess, 0 to 20. But that's something you have to decide. I mean, like how. So that's the third one, right? So that's the fourth one. We were going to say that you plan the questions to be asked, you plan the evidence required, right? You plan the score for each question. See how much you get it now? You're lucky get it 10. You score for each question, you plan the passing grade. You have to tell the company, I mean, yes, at the end of the day, you add up all of this 20 and 20, 40, and 8 and 48, and you're supposed to get 50. Anyway, there's just 2 questions, right? So the mark would have to be divided by an average and whatever have you, right? So you plan the score for each question. Not everything will be 20 marks. I just put 20, 20 here. The truth is not everything is 20 marks. And then you plan the passing grade, which is it 70% you want the company to get? Is it 50%? Is it 45%? Is it 100%, right? And the last one, I mean, that's 9, but it have more than 10. Eh? I'm just using your book. The last one there was your plan, the closing meeting, right? But you also supposed to plan something called the opening meeting. Eh? But I mean, that's the page we're on there now. I didn't see they say opening meeting here, but they're supposed to plan the opening meeting. If you take a note of it, the opening and the closing meeting. Right? And let me just walk you through that. In the opening and the closing meeting, normally the auditors meet with the CEO of the company. If you are working in safety, and you are being audited, this is a very, this is what I'm looking here for. This is a very frightening, kind of gutsy kind of time, because the auditor now will be sort of reporting on you to the CEO, which is your boss, right? So like if they say anything bad, it does look bad on you now, right? So the opening meeting and the closing meeting is be kind of gut-wrenching to hear what they found, right? But something you have to go through, and I guess if you're in safety, that's just how it is anyway, or quality. You can never tell what the auditor does find, right? And I mean, it's not a nice thing to go through, because especially if they find a lot of things wrong, I mean, you end up looking bad. But the purpose why I was saying plan the closing meeting, I'm just tell you why they're doing that, right? They're planning the closing meeting to give the company an idea of if they pass or fail the audit, right? So that.
So, just interject again.
Say again?
Yeah, let me just interject. You say the HSE might look bad
Yeah.
in the opening or the closing meeting, but what does happen sometimes, the HSE rep could be doing his job and highlighting certain areas that need improving,
Yeah.
funding to purchase certain items,
Yeah.
and due to management lapse or total ignorance towards it, they end up in that position, but
Right.
it's not necessarily on the behalf of the HSE rep.
Right.
Sometimes
As
it's due
long
to
as, yeah, as
management.
long as, yeah,
Yeah.
if that's the case, fine. As long as, I mean, so that means I know those of us who work know what this thing is all about. As long as you know it's not your fault, fine. I guess you could stand in front there with a clean conscience then, knowing that the CEO can't tell you nothing when the auditors go on, because it may be their fault that they didn't provide the finances to get done what had to be done, right? So yes, I mean, if that's the
One
case,
of,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, but one of the things that is necessary would work for you is having the evidence of probably emails
yeah,
that you sent demonstrating that you made a request to have such and such done, but due to management
yeah,
not
failure.
following through.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So in that sense, then your hands are clean. And in that sense, Rudy, you kind of come like you're sticking it to the managers now, because it kind of come like you telling them all the time what to do and they did not do it. And now an auditor come and telling them what they have to do. So that's also a pleasant experience. I mean, if that's the case where you felt as if you were not being heard before, and now the auditor is backing up what you are saying, that, you know, this had to be bought or this had to be implemented. I mean, I've been on that side too, right? In that sense, the CEO or the managers are the ones that look bad anyway, right? But I think I was talking from the perspective of like a young safety now. Like, it was a young safety, right? It is kind of like gut wrenching to go through an audit and stand before your CEO, especially that probably was your first job then. It's kind of come as if, you know, like they're checking out your competence at the same time, or your ability at the same time, right? So I was getting to the point about the closing meeting. The closing meeting is like they'll give you an idea of how the audit went. And so that's why the CEO needs to be there. If there's any outstanding matters, that will be said in the closing meeting as well. I want to leave that there because I was just trying to make the 10 anyway. And I think that would have made the 10. If you look at the book, the closing meeting, you see they mention on page 32, you talk about any major non-conformances. And non-conformance is something that, well, that's the big ones then. That, like, those are the red flags. That is when something would have been wrong. Any minor non-conformances and any observations. And observation is okay to get. Observation mean that they didn't give you, in an audit, then like the worst thing to get is what is called a NC, a non-conformance. The more non-conformances you get, you could fail the audit, right? So it's okay if you got some observations, as long as if it wasn't a non-conformance. And non-conformance mean if it's something like for a license or whatever have it, that they can take the license based on the fact that you have a high number of what we call NCs anyway, right? Or the license can be temporarily suspended if you have a high number of NCs anyway, right? Remember, we have said this to you all that this is never the nice side of safety, or in my sense, the school. I remember this school, as Zoom as it may be from your home to my home. Remember, this school is a school that has been accredited and recognized to be the highest course provider in the Caribbean and South America. So we go through these things, never nice things though, but you know, we come out on top of all the schools. There's also a little bit of school doing NEBOSH in Trinidad, and safe. Um, what's that one? ATC, and they're kind of new to the game. They just do one course and stuff, right? But all of them, I mean, NEBOSH is the auditing, you know, aspect here. And when they audit us, we have come out as the top entity anyway, in terms of not just Trinidad, but the Caribbean and South America as well. But these are never nice things to go through. I tell you that to tell you because, again, when we get it, it's nice to see it now. But when we go through it, it's never nice to see that we're going through an audit anyway, right? So I think that could be a 10. I think that's the 10 things to think. Oh, we have more, right? Just in case, I just thought about two more here, but two nice ones. So believe it or not, you want to sort out your welfare facilities. I don't know if you know that. You want to sort out welfare. Like lunch, lunchroom, like where the auditors having lunch, like what they want to eat. So welfare facilities then, right? And probably even meal preparation there. Don't know if you know that. So that's a big part of every audit. You wouldn't want the people to come then lunchtime, they have no place to sit down. Where you go do with the auditors and them, right? They are nothing to sit down and they are nothing to eat. So anybody who know about auditor know that this is something that is, it must be planned. You must plan when lunchtime come. Do they have access to the lunchroom? Are we going to get the workers out of there for those days? And then what do they want to eat? Anybody have any specific meal preference or whatever have you, right? So welfare, please take a note what I meant by that. A lunchroom, meals, and then I told you it was two. So another one, I mean, we couldn't ignore this one. We should not ignore this one. PPE. PPE, if you are an auditor like me, like like I am not in a coverall and a hard hat at the office. I'm not. If you come, I try to look the most dressed down as possible. Plus, it's the pandemic, so I try not to dress up too much anyway. But like when I go to companies, like if I Wednesday when I go to companies and stuff, I have to remember when I put them in the car, I have them in the car, so I don't ever forget them. Anyway, I have my hard hat and my boots and my safety glasses and stuff because like the way I am, the way an auditor is at the office, then right, like if somebody is from the energy chamber, the soft shoes they have on, right? When they coming down to your plant, they have to put on PPE. However, when they come there, so as an auditor coming to a company, they have to wear PPE. There are some companies like Atlantic LNG and a lot of other companies, they would not allow you with a normal coverall. You have to wear what is called a fire resistant coverall, right? So the auditor may not have that. They may have to laser the company to probably get one when they arrive on the site. All of those things then. So don't ignore these simple things. And those things are preparation. I mean, the truth is if those things were not met, those two simple things, none of the other things could have been met. If you didn't have PP, how are you coming on the people plant? How you'll even enter the gate, right? And if you didn't have a lunchroom and food to eat, how would you have a good audit, right? If you know you're hungry, your belly growling, etc., right? So as simple as those things are fundamental to audit preparation, right? So I just want to go to that page in your book now, page 33. I'm going to take this up, shows you some types of audits. They mentioned two of them, internal and external. And I guess they went on to talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of both types of those audits, right? So you can take a read of this. The auditors would need to be competent, they need to have good listening skills, etc., 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 right? So again, because it's open book, I don't see this being a problem, but I mean, just to discuss it, that there are two main types of audits, the internal and the external. The internal are normally done by your own staff, and just saying that, you should probably think about it a bit, because when I mean your own staff, we are sometimes tempted to think that this is the safety, but the answer is it's not the safety. I'll say that again, right? There is a rule for auditing, which is the auditor is supposed to be independent, meaning that if you wanted to audit the safety department, internally, right, it wasn't the safety who had to audit it. It was somebody else. So if you just stop and think about that, then this other person who's going to audit, they may not know much about safety. In other words, and you may take somebody from another department to audit the safety department. In simpler terms, then you may take an accountant to audit the safety department, right? How Neil and Marcy does it, or Marcy now anyway, they will take safety some other companies then to audit their safety department. So like Wood Group, which is now called Wood, right? So Wood, their safeties then, right? They would audit, let's say, Massey Stores then, they'd audit Massey Store safety. And Massey Store's safety would audit Motors safety, right? So at least in that way, it wasn't the same people, but they had some knowledge then, right? So because of that, that's where you find that there's going to be like some advantages and disadvantages, right? So if we can do internal first, I know internal is the second thing on the table, but let's do internal first, right? So the advantages of using your own people, it's less expensive. The auditors already know the business, so they know what can be realistically achieved if you use it like I mentioned here with Massey. Improves ownership of the issues found. It builds competence internally, right? The disadvantages, auditors may not notice certain issues. Now, there's a lot of reason for that because they're not really trained in auditing. These are just internal staff you're using. Auditors may not have good knowledge of industry or legal standards, especially what I was telling is if you choose like an accountant to audit the safety department, right? I'm talking from experience here because a lot of errors is made when you use somebody unfamiliar with safety and vice versa, I guess, right? Auditors may not possess auditing skills, so they may need training, and we did the training with Massey when we took these people, these internal persons to audit. We put them on a 3-day auditing program. But the thing is only 3 days. How much competence could you build in 3 days? And by the way, it was not 3 whole days, it was 3 afternoons, like from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, right? So 3 afternoons, and then, well, from there, from the following week, that was like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. From the following week, you throw them out there to do the audit. But the truth is, they're not that competent. They just had like a 3-day training anyway, right? So auditors are not independent, so may be subjected to internal influence. So the auditors are working for your company. So I'm just saying if the CEO knew that there was an accident and maybe somebody was suing the company or something, the CEO can say, when you all audit, don't look in that accident because, don't look at that accident as something to audit because that's a matter for the company lawyers to handle, right? So it could be subjected to company politics. You see there, can be subjected rather than objective, could be subjected to the politics of the company. Another disadvantage, which I didn't see in the book, is that these people, from what I'm telling you, these internal auditors, they are everyday employees. They are accountants, technicians, mechanics. And the truth is, believe it or not, they have their job to do. The mechanic has his things to do. The accountant has work to do, right? Balance sheets or whatever have you. But, with the blessing of the company, they have been chosen to do internal audits. So they're doing it. But what I'm telling you is that they have the normal work to do too. So it has been real tough for those of us who work in companies, like you're doing this thing for the safety, you're doing safety audits, right? But remember, you're not a safety, you're an accountant, you're a mechanic, you're a technician. And if you have to report to your supervisor, let's say the mechanic then has to repair 5 vehicles for the day then, right? Or whatever things, 5 pumps for the day, whatever, right? Remember, them had them work to do. So it has been real tough, right? I mean, this is something that I was in charge of. This is something we did at Massey, but we knew those persons, and especially the accountant, like if they had things to do coming to the end of the month, they had to do that and do the safety audits as well. So what you normally find is that they do it, but they do it very good. They just ask you a question, they write down your form, or you ask them to write down, and that's it, they go on. Because the truth is, remember, they wasn't being paid for that. That's something additional that they are doing internally. I guess when you all have your career, those of us who are still young anyway, when you come across these things, you'll understand what I was trying to tell you here anyway, right? External persons, let's go to that one. External advantages and disadvantages. So external, I use in the book, external advantages. The person is independent of any external influence. So they will tell you what they have to tell you, right? They wouldn't be afraid then to say about the accident. The person normally has a fresh pair of eyes, meaning that, not that they have a fresh pair of eyes, but meaning that like they will see things then that the everyday employee wouldn't see, right? Like, like maybe workers are, I'm using one that happened to me. So workers are accustomed working in noise. If I get them to a plant, the first thing I'll notice is the noise. And then they will say, oh yeah, the noise. But we have been living and working here I mean, living next door, people live in communities and stuff, right? People have been living next to this plant and, we've been working here for 10 years and we never really studied the noise. And I would say, yeah, the noise is over 80 decibels. That's supposed to be the most alarming thing, all right? So those things do happen when people work in a place a very long time. They may not be aware then of the hazards that they have been exposed to because it is just, I guess, their way of life or their culture in the company, right? May have wider experience of different types of workplaces, and that is true. External persons have a wide range of experience as compared to the internal staff, right? Recommendations often carry more weight and they're a little bit more. Again, this book didn't cover all. I did say auditing is something done at the diploma level. By the way, and just to put a plug here for that, if anybody remember, you all are finishing in about 3 weeks time anyway, I guess 4 weeks at the most. If anybody is interested in moving to the NEBOSH diploma, which is a BSc with honors in health and safety, let us know, right? Because the class is filling up. Remember, I just came from my class, right? We have like 2 full classes going on, but the class will start in July, but you have to tell us from before. Already people there is like a little list already starting anyway of people putting their names, right? There is nothing more worthwhile. I mean, once you have that level 6 degree, I mean, the sky is the limit anyway, right? So I was saying, I think there is a space on this table. I don't know if you wanted to write it there. It could fit one more if you wanted to write it there. An advantage, I think is that the external persons, I'm trying to see if it's there somewhere. I mean, but the external persons are like more, I say they had wider experience, but they have more knowledge. Remember, that is their profession. They are like what you call a professional then, right? So they have like a wider knowledge of current standards and practices, right? They are a professional, full stop. That could be another advantage, right? So it's not just about experience, but they have knowledge about like standards then, like how I know 80 decibels or somebody else may know asbestos, right? Not supposed to cross 1 micrometer radiation, not supposed to cross 1 millisieverts, right? They know these kind of things. They're supposed to know about PPE, the best type of hard hat, type C, best type of safety glasses, Z87. So that's what I'm saying is like when you might know those things, you maybe your workers may have on glasses all the time and not realize that it wasn't Z87, but the professionals, they tend to know now. So they have more knowledge about safety standards, guidances. Even you all know some too, the approved codes or practices on them as well, right? So the disadvantages is that yes, they are expensive, which is good. I mean, those of us who stayed in safety here, I mean, this could be you in the future, meaning that if you are a consultant then, as an auditor, then you are paid typically the going rate of like a consultant, somebody with that BSc degree with a NEBOSH diploma. For 1 day is about $37.50, and that's probably cutting it short. For 1 day work, $3,750. That's the rate from the energy chamber we have in Trinidad here. $3,750 per day, right? Disadvantage of using external persons is that they're going to ask you for a lot of documents, so it's time consuming. Disadvantage is that they may not understand the business, so they can make impractical suggestions, but that could be overcome though. But generally, external persons may not know what your business do, right? So it will take them some time to understand what your business, does in terms of how they get their monies, etc. Right? So they may intimidate workers, so get incomplete evidence. Again, I don't like how this book is putting it. The thing is, it's not that they would intimidate workers, but the truth is their very presence then is intimidating. It's not that they're intimidating workers, right? That's not the way to say it at all. But you can only imagine if you see me then, or you see somebody come in a jacket, right? So some companies I put it on, some companies I don't. I did something in the Salcott February month, January month. I put on my jacket for that, and I did feel the thing though. I was told it was managers and the Salcott, so I put on my jacket. But to be honest with you, I felt it kind of. No one said anything. No one. It was kind of intimidating. The very fact that you had on a jacket, I felt that that is what was intimidating to the workers then, right? So sometimes it's not that you were intimidating, but just like the way you dress then, right? Could be if you see somebody and you're planting a jacket and tie, it kind of says something now, right? So it's trying not to do that, right? Especially if I know it's everyday workers. But as I was told was managers, I thought I was going to be on the dress, but it turned out to be the other way around, right? That it did turn out to be intimidating. So sometimes that is how it is, that once they know an auditor is coming, even for me, right? Because we are audited, I told you, right? But the thing about NIBOSH auditors tend to be, they dress down. I'm not too sure if that's part of their standard or whatever have you, but they don't, as much as we think the white man would put on the jacket and tie. I was audited last year by somebody from Oxford University, and the person was just like normal. Even I think sometime December, someone from again the UK, a lady in fact, and she was just normal. They thought she was going to the mall or something anyway, right? But anyway, I guess Trinidadians overdo it with the jacket as well, right? So it's not that I said that they intimidate people. It's just that the very aspect of it may be intimidating, and I guess that is just the nature of that anyway, right? So that would be the end of this. Just about 121 there. I know they are auditing questions, but I think there was just an advantage and a disadvantage question in a recent paper, right? At least the good news is I told you that your book is there, Google is there. Sometimes if you don't know, you could just, I've shown you all a little trick with that to talk to Google. Just type it in or whatever have you, right? But the chapter isn't finished. I want to come back now. I want to change the PowerPoint a bit. I wanted I think there's something else bigger in this chapter, which is actually 4.2. So I want to start that now, right? So I don't know if you have the PowerPoint, you'll have to let me know. So I don't know if you have, right? So could you all let me know, because I know you all do already. I'll have to go and find it. In fact, that was lesson 13. So I don't see, okay, I have it. I'll let you know when I'm sharing it, right? I don't think you'll see it as yet. Unless if you've seen it and you're not telling me. So you can let me know when you're seeing lesson 14. I'm not sure if you all got it in the week. I don't have everybody email at home either. So if you didn't get it yet, what you could probably do is just follow in your book now. I think that's what you all did. There was a Saturday when you all would not see the PowerPoint, but you all followed in your book, which I think is just as good, right? So I have on my screen, I have Nicholas and Indira, as well as Rudy, but Rudy have his camera off, right? My screen only shows 4 persons at a time. So can you all tell me if you're seeing session 14?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I am.
Okay, but do you know if you have this?
I see the picture.
No.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. I believe the PowerPoint was sent via email.
Okay, all right, okay. If not, right, please check and just mention it on the WhatsApp group now. I do have everybody email address home, but I don't know if Janet have it. So maybe she see the message. She normally takes the role now from where she logs in from, which is way down in low zero side down there. No, I don't have your role home, right? If it's something like something, if it's a new class or whatever, I've had the role home, but you all started last year.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, you have it. Okay, good, right? So
Right?
yeah. Okay. Right. So Masha, you have it?
No, I don't have it.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, what you can look through this slide for now. I'll probably have Janet send you it, right? But lesson 14. But what you can do, you can follow with your book, right? We are on page 12 of chapter 4. Right? Like I said, I want to make use of the half an hour. Remember, you'll have a couple of weeks again. So It's only 14 and 15 to go on. I mean, 15 is the last lesson, right? Today is the 20th. That's really cutting it close. Next week is the 20, but next week we'll finish because 15 is very short. 15 and 14 and 15 is the same lesson, just we broke it over 2 PowerPoints then, right? Yeah, so we kind of have to, I can't stop class now. I can't give you half an hour off, right? I'll give you the half an hour off when we finish, right? After April month, you have no classes anyway. After April the 3rd, right? From the 10th, you all are free, right? On a Saturday evening anyway, right? So let me just make use of this half an hour that I have anyway. So this piece of it is all about investigating accidents and incidents, right? Let me just try to blow this up a bit here. Right, so I'll take it from here and let me just read a bit and I'll stop when there is a passive question, right? So I'll stop when there's a passive question. So the purpose of accident investigation, so if you look at your book, you're gonna see introduction to incident investigation. So just to kind of talk you through this here, they're saying, well, why do an accident investigation? Well, there's a lot of reasons, all of them straightforward on this slide when you get it. But some of the main reason is to find the cause. Why would you want to do an accident investigation? You want to find the cause. And what they say, there are 2 main causes of an accident. Well, it actually is 3, but this book covers 2. You have what is called immediate causes and root causes. There's actually a 3rd one, which is actually something called underlying causes, right? But again, stick to the slide, stick to your course anyway for now. The reason for conducting an accident investigation is to find the cause. And the other thing is that why would you want to find the cause? The answer is in the 4th point. You want to find the cause so that you could help the workforce learn from their failings to prevent the chance of the accident reoccurring. Well, they say recurrence in the UK. They combine those 2 words and they say recurrence in the UK, right? So the other reasons are here, but the 2 main reasons to do an accident investigation: to find the cause, to prevent recurrence. Now, I don't know if this may be a 5-mark question, but you have more than 5 points there. In case they ask you, I guess when you'll get the PowerPoint, you can just take it from that anyway, right? So it have other reasons, for example, to help improve your risk assessment, to meet legal requirement. Now this law is in your book, page 12. You see they have it in bold there, that there's a law in the UK for reporting accidents and incidents. The acronym for it is RIDDLE. On page 12 is the only thing in bold to the top of the book there anyway, right? Just before you get to the heading, Introduction to Incident Investigation. Just above that, you see the meaning of the law. It stands for the reporting of injuries, diseases, and dangerous occurrence regulation. The most up-to-date year is 2013, as you see in your book there, right? So if I could tell you, I'm just going to tell you in one thought though, that what they say then is that you have to report accidents in the UK to the HSE. So how would you report if you did not investigate? So you need to investigate to get the evidence then, or to get what happened in order to report the accident, right? Now, lesson 15 is actually the one that talks about riddle. So we're going to leave that for lesson 15 and let's move on with the third here, which is accident investigation in itself, right? So types of accidents, I think that's what it's in your book. The book would have gone back and defined what is an accident on page 13. And again, what is an incident and what is a dangerous occurrence? Some of those, I think we did it on lesson 1. Right? So what is an accident? So what they said is that you need to categorize accidents, incidents, near misses, etc. Why would you want to categorize them? Because they can help you to focus on which one to prevent first. You really want to prevent the more dangerous ones as opposed to the near misses anyway, right? So I don't just remember that class with the accident ratio triangles. They say accident, like when you categorize them, you could put them on a triangle. We had done that in class, or we had seen that in class. Don't know if I want to show it again. It's not part of your exam, it's just part of the explanation where we said if you started, if you try to I was going to say graph, right? But this is the idea. Like if we try to represent accident statistics on a chart, what they say a triangle is the best chart. Why? Because you have less fatalities to the top and more near misses to the bottom, right? And the way a triangle is structured, like the bottom of it is already broader than the top. So like the shape that best describes accident data is like a triangle or a pyramid, right? So categorizing failures helps you to produce accident ratio triangles, which helps you to understand the statistical likelihood of the event relative to each other, which means simply you have more near misses, you can have probably dangerous occurrences and major stuff, but you have less fatalities at the top. In fact, some companies, God, I guess thank God for that, some companies have zero, deaths, for years and years and years of existence anyway, right? So that is like what you want, I guess, all the time anyway, right? So nothing really there for exam. I want to get to the exam point. So accident investigation procedure. So the effort of the investigation will vary depending on the complexity and severity of the event. A procedure is required to define a methodology. The word, this letter A is missing there, to ensure a consistent approach to investigation. A procedure is required to define who is responsible for what during an investigation. I want to try to line this up with something in your book, right? So let me try to see if it's in your book. And I'm not seeing it, right? So here's what happened here. The simplest way to explain this, right, is that when they say a procedure is required to have a method to do the accident investigation, what they are saying is that there are steps then to undertaking an accident investigation. Now you see those steps, or you should see those steps in your book, right? So you'll have to come with me now to page 17, right? They have like some steps then to investigate an accident. Now, these are not the typical company steps. These are some steps from the health and safety executive in England. So your company may not follow these same steps. However, these are the steps that are mentioned in the course. I'm saying that from experience because I know companies don't have these same steps, but these are the steps mentioned in the course. And it's mentioned in a document called, I think it's INDG 245. I'm not wrong with the 245. I'm just studying if it was a HSG document. No, it's actually INDG 245. It's on page 15. So I was correct. Actually, no, it's saying HSG 245, right? So I guess my other sense was correct then too. So it's HSG 245. There is an INDG version, right? But the one mentioned here, HSG 245. So you may wonder why I'm telling you all of this, right? In one of the exams, the open book exam now, NIBOSH gave the students this document. Remember I mentioned to you last week, it would have 3 icons, your exam icon, the template to type on, and you may have a guidance. Well, they had given them this document, HSG 245. Now, what does it say? Well, your book have it. The book have what it says, right? What it says is that there are 4 steps here for doing an accident investigation, right? I don't know if you want to turn to the pages and you'll see it. Again, companies don't use these 4 steps, but these are the steps mentioned in that document. So the first step, just to say it fast here in your book, because you can just turn the page and you'll see it, right? The first step is to gather the information. Step 1, this is on page 17, gather the information. And if you just look at some of the bullet points they have, what they're talking about, gathering photographs, sketches, measurement, videos, written description, taking physical evidence, marking up existing site location plans, right? They also talk there, if you look at the topic focus, they mentioned their interviewing techniques, that when you're interviewing, now I have it on my slide, but I'm trying to see what is the fastest way. So the fastest way is the textbook, right? So if you go through, you're going to see I do have interview techniques coming up, right? So a little lower down, right? So just take it from the book, right? So like when you're talking to the interviewees then, right? They tell you what to do there, right? Hold the interview in a quiet room, introduce yourself, explain the purpose of the interview. The book have everything, and the book exam is an open book exam. Use open questions. Some of it I have here, but you know, it's a kind of line it up, right? Take notes so that the facts being discussed are not forgotten. Ask the witness to write and sign statement to create a record of their testimony. I used to always do that, right? I always do that. Some people do sign it though, but a lot of them who write it sign it, right? Now and then somebody wouldn't want to sign it, but you know, that's something that we always do. If you're doing an interview, you give them a sheet of paper and you tell them write what happened. Some of them will say they can't write and spell anything, but still tell them write it. However bad it's spelled, I mean, the court does recognize it still if it had to go to court. But that's a really good technique if you didn't know that. Interviewing someone, just make sure you have extra sheets of paper and stuff and pen to give them, right? Thank the witness for the help. So all of that is under gathering information. So the point is that trying to make this make some sense here, but the point in terms of gathering information then, right? What you're trying to do is gather like physical evidence, documentary evidence. I don't know if anybody writing, as well as witness evidence, but all of that is gathered information, right? So physical evidence is like, you know, like what happened on the plant, like where the person fall down, like where the oil is there, like where the man slip and fall. So that's why you want pictures and videos and things. Physical, documentary evidence as well as what you want, right? Documentary evidence mean, okay, like if it was a forklift that was involved in a collision. Keep listening to me, anybody? Jude, is it just background noise or is it a question for me? Okay, I think it was probably just background noise. Okay, you see.
Nah, sir, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Okay, wasn't you like Shaggy? Okay, all right, okay. All right, yeah, okay, right. Yeah, so I was saying, yeah, so physical evidence then is like sketches and, you know, like even samples. You know, like if it was oil on the ground, you gotta take a sample of the oil. Right? Cotton swab and stuff I'm talking about. I just want to talk this a bit faster, right? So physical evidence, documentary evidence, witness interviews. I know it gets into 2 o'clock. Right? Well, happy we on good time still. Right? So all of that in is gathering the information, right? I'm making a note of this to let you know because I know I've said this for the 3rd time that companies do not use these steps. These steps recently became famous in HSG 245. The neighbors seem to be testing it, right? When you turn the page, the next step, analyze the information. And I can line this one up here now, just to get my slide to move. Analyze the information, meaning you want to figure out the immediate causes and the root causes. Analyzing the information means you want to find the immediate causes and the root causes. Now, I'll make it simple for you. Now, I know you don't have the PowerPoint, or some of you don't have it, right? If you're watching these things, these are things that I put in here. These are the things from the diploma level. You would not see this in your book. You're not seeing Bird and Loftus domino theory. Nor are you seeing Heinrich domino theory. Now, why did I put this, right? I put this to tell you, well, not to learn this, right? I mean, you all don't have to learn it, but what it's going to tell is that these are the people then that came up with the concept that an accident have more than one cause. Which is why if you look at the book, you're going to see immediate and root causes, right? Before these people there, this is a psychologist, Heinrich. You must remember him because he came up with the same iceberg theory anyway. The iceberg that we did in chapter 1, direct and indirect cause. He came up with the idea that an accident is due to 5 causes. Now, you don't have to learn the 5. It's not on your syllabus. All I was trying to tell you was that an accident have more than one cause, right? Bird and Loftus was 2 psychologists around 1974 or 79, around there. They also put forward another theory. They amended Heinrich's theory and they put management to blame too. See if you see that. So they this is the first time that this was done, that if an accident happened, they say though that the immediate causes, they say could be attributed. If you watch here, you're going to see immediate causes is going to be to the unsafe actions by the employee or an unsafe condition like water on the ground then. So we can say an immediate cause was an employee was running when he slipped on a patch of oil on the ground. That's an immediate cause. If you want to write this down now, you could write it in your book. I am on page 18. What they say is that immediate causes, you can write it down in your book, is due to unsafe acts and unsafe conditions. It writes in your book too. If you read the paragraph, you'll see it. To the bottom of that paragraph, right on page 18, under immediate cause, if you find the word unsafe act, unsafe conditions. Remember, these kind of matching up, this take me some time, huh? But I'll try to do it for you all now so you know wherever you use book or handout is the same thing you're seeing, right? So immediate causes is due to unsafe act, like a forklift driver speeding. And at the same time, it had an unsafe condition. Maybe it had a raised edge or something, or a broken off piece of the compound, right? A hole or something, right? And the forklift wheel fall in that and got stuck in that. The forklift lost its center of gravity and the forklift toppled over, thereby crushing the worker leg, right? But it's due to an unsafe act and unsafe condition, right? But Bird and Loftus, these two psychologists, this is the man last name, his name was Frank, by the way. If you ever hear me talk about Frank. Frank was the man first name here, Frank Bird. I'm not too sure what was Loftus' first name. At least I may have forgotten it anyway, right? But I mean, the theory is not known as Frank, is known as Bird and Loftus domino theory. So that's how everybody know their last name, right? So Bird is not a real bird there. Bird is the man surname, right? But these two psychologists then, they were the first to put forward the idea that in addition to the immediate cause, watch it, we have a root cause. And who is at fault? Well, sometimes, or probably most times, they say most times, the unsafe act and the unsafe condition was allowed to happen, right? They know that it had a hole on the ground then, or they knew that there was a leaking forklift, or they knew it had oil or whatever on the ground. So in addition to having an immediate cause, the theory is today, if you watch your book, is that you have two main causes on accident. You is a cause, and your employer is a cause as well. The managers are a cause as well, right? Let's take a read of that there and you'll see it in your book. Going straight to the book, right? Now, root causes, I should just say this, root causes are not only manager, right? It's not only the manager. So before we finish, I'll give you two more root causes. But to be honest with you, for level 3, it's implied that the root causes are the management, right? Anyway, I'll just touch it briefly because we want to cover the next 2 steps as well before 2 o'clock. So root causes from your book are the things that lie behind the immediate cause. Often root causes will be failure in the management system, right? So such as failure to adequately supervise the workers, which is why the forklift was speeding. Failure to provide proper PPE, which is why maybe they were not wearing a faulty, I don't know, hat or something, right? Maybe it couldn't hold properly over their head, a retractable mechanism. Failure to provide adequate training, lack of maintenance, inadequate checking or inspection on the part of the managers. So like if nobody was inspecting what the forklift left or it was left leaking then, right? Failure to carry out risk assessment. So in the world of safety, it is seen like for the NEBOSH questions that an accident have 2 main causes, immediate causes and root causes. So what I want to do here, I just want to stop and tell you that this is, again, a passive question, right? What they can do, hopefully all, I know we all recording, but not much of these recording. I have to make an effort to put it on the YouTube channel anyway, right? But so in respect of this, right? So what I was saying was that they may give you then a case study, and in the case study, it will have causes, and they will ask you to pull out like 5 immediate cause, 5 root causes. If you remember that immediate causes are due to you and unsafe conditions, fine. You could read the passage and see where they said the worker was, you know, horse playing, or the ground was wet, or it had oil, all of those would be immediate causes. And then you could use your book here now on page 18 to say what were the management failures. So managers did not supervise, managers did not help people accountable via, I guess I'm seeing check-in here, but that's an inspection. Management did not, adequately supervise the workers, and then you could get 5 management failures as well. So take a note of that because this is something that they like for the exam. In addition to the 4 steps. And I'm leaving out something here because we'll run out of time. You have to remind me that next week we want to start back right around these 4 steps as well. Because there's something else I'm leaving out here that, something simple though, that was asked for. What you could do for me though, in addition to, I guess, trying to send you some sort of question in the week again, what you could do for me is try to download HSG 245. Right? It's free to download from the HSE website. It's kind of long though, right? But remember that mightn't come for exam. But what they're saying though is that just be careful though that if they ask you, well, you could use it. I mean, if they ask you for root and immediate causes, you could read that and get a lot of the answers from that as well. That's like a supplement then to the book. Or should I say the book may be a supplement to that because that is actually the main document for, accident investigation in the UK anyway, right? So if they can do that for me, great, right? And just be mindful too on the day of the exam. If they send you a guidance, please do not ignore it. If you see 3 active buttons on your screen, don't ignore the 3rd one. They give you for a reason. 10 to 1, something they're asking you for, the answer is in that document, right? They have been known to do that before anyway. Let me just mention the last 2 steps and I think I'll stop here. So the last 2 steps. So we did all of that analyzing the information, and what I mean by analyzing, well, we have said it so much at times now, you want to get the immediate causes, you want to get the root causes. Look how much they have. In fact, they have some on page 19, immediate causes, right? So they do have a bunch there. So I think you'll be lucky for that, right? In fact, I like this one. I mean, I like how they have this one. On page 19 have 4, and then you had some before, right? 4 immediate causes. Failure to secure the load, poor road positioning, aggressively braking by the truck driver, which is slamming the brakes down, and inattentive pedestrian stepping out in front of the truck, right? So yeah, that could work. I mean, if you're given another case study, you just have to look at that and just see whatever that other case study was, right? So it mightn't be a pedestrian stepping out in the front of a truck. It may be a pedestrian stepping out in the front of a crane or a forklift, whatever, fine. And then you also have some root causes there. No training of the driver, lack of segregation of the pedestrian and traffic route, lack of proper driver induction training. So like, okay, so good. So you have, I'm glad for that. You have something that you could use for your exam. Plus you can make it up. I know like my aim would have been you could just make it up. If you know the immediate causes are due to unsafe acts and unsafe conditions, you can just read the passage and get it, whatever passage they give you. And if you know root causes are due to managers failing, not supervising, not training, not holding people accountable, fine. Lack of maintenance, etc. Lack of proper risk assessments, lack of resources. I've said 5 right there, in fact, right? So again, it's just that my time is so, I think I want to make an effort, right, to put these videos on our YouTube channel, right? So I think if you subscribe, I'll try to do that. I'll try to do that today, right? I think when I leave it, because tomorrow I have process safety and all sort of stuff. I'll try to do that today. Whenever this video is converted, I'll try to put it today, right? If you all have subscribed to it, you'll be able to see the lesson. I'll make an effort to take a note of it here to put last week's video as well, right? So the video for the last 2 weeks, to put them on the YouTube channel. I haven't put stuff there for a long time because we have been using another forum, another platform, but as it's coming close to your exam, we can probably put these here for you, all right? Anyway, step 3, identify suitable control measures. And the idea is that you're going to use the control from the control hierarchy, right? So if you look at the book, you'll probably see some ideas of that. right? So identify suitable control measures. I'm seeing some simple ones: clean up the oil, clean up the leaking vehicle, right? But you should probably think of some higher order controls. And then step 4, stage 4, planning the remedial action, right? So please remember that these are the big 4 steps mentioned on HSG 245 for dealing with an accident. Now, again, it is different for most companies, accident investigation steps anyway, right? But this is what, would have been mentioned in the course anyway, right? Gathering the information, analyzing the information, identifying control measures, and then planning the remedial action, right? How else could I tell you on this, boy? I don't know if I could tell you this again, is that if they give you a question, I wonder if I could tell you what I want to tell you. Like if they give you a question and they say they want 10 things to consider in, like performing an accident investigation, what you could do is use the 4 stages, right? But just get some points under them to make up 10. When if you get that. So like in gathering information, you could probably give 3 points under gathering the information. You can take it from your book if you want, because it's an open book exam. But you're trying to make up 10. Under analyzing the information, you can mention the 2 most important ones, which is root causes and immediate causes. So that's 3 and 2, that's 5, right? Under identifying suitable control measures, you could talk about 2 elements of the control hierarchy or 3 elements of the control hierarchy: eliminate, substitute, reduce, prevent, engineering controls, whatever, PP. But that's more than 2, right? But the point is you're making up 10. I wonder if you get what I'm trying to say. If they give it for 10 marks, what are 10 factors to consider in doing an accident investigation? What I'm saying is that you could use the headings on HSG. That's what they had asked before, HSG 245. But you're formatting 10 points there, like maybe 2, 3, 2, 3 under each heading. A 4x3 will give you 12. If you give 3 points under every heading, you'll get 12. 12 is good because if you ask you for 10, it's not too bad sometimes to go over by 2 marks or 2 points, sorry, not saying 2 marks, right? So should something be wrong, maybe you could pick up back the mark if you had given an extra point there, right? Because really and truly, every point is what is corrected anyway, right? So I will stop here. There's one thing I wanted to tell you. I mentioned here I was going to give you 2 more root causes when we said management. So let me just do that now. So some root causes are not due to management, but your course then focus on management. But I want it to be fair because I try to see if any way they mention that in the book, right? But to be fair then, I mean, not everything is manager's fault. Yes, we say in some is the unsafe act, unsafe condition, right? But some things then could be due to the manufacturer, like a manufacturing defect. So a root cause, you can think about some of these cars, the Toyota, Honda recall, airbags. Some of those things are manufacturing defects. So root causes of an accident, sometimes if it was like a tool then that was defective from manufacturing then, just to keep to the back of your mind that manufacturers can also be classed as a root cause. Also, natural disasters can be classed as a root cause. So yes, it may have water. I mean, if we talk about the worker was running and he slipped and he fell, but what if it had good drainage? What if it had good, maintenance then, right? But what happened here was like a freak storm. The rain blew contrary to maybe how the roofing and the awnings are set up. And the rain came in and, maybe it came from the wrong side, as you say in Trinidad, and it blew from the wrong side and it flooded part of the workshop. Now, that may very well be a freak event. In that sense, then, when you look at the factory floor, then if it had good drainage, good roofing, proper maintenance all the time, but what has happened now, maybe the drains, the rivers, the sea, right, has backed up. right? There are places like that. You have places that are below sea level anyway. And, if that's the case and the water backs up a bit, maybe like how we may have high tide in Trinidad, the water is not going anywhere, then that is in no way the fault of managers. So in a way then, things like freak events then, storms, natural disasters, can also be seen as a root cause of some accidents anyway. There are famous cases of it. I think one was a case called Latimer, Latmer, versus AEC, where a man slipped and fell in a workshop floor. I don't know if that's in your book. I think I'll do that anyway. He decided to sue the company, but the company won the case because they had everything how it's supposed to be there, right? They had it. It just that what had happened was like a freak event and it flooded out, parts of a workshop that never flooded before, right? So to keep that in your mind that manufacturers and natural disasters could also be seen as a root cause of accidents anyway, right? I'm a bit tired because I think my throat talking since morning, right? But I wanted to say something, so I want to stop the recording there. But I remember I told you I wanted to kind of mention some things about your exam a little bit, right? So I'll stop the recording there. I'm going to make, like I said, a conscious effort today. So I think I hit the wrong button there, sorry. To try to put this up on the YouTube.